Welcome back to the Pesky Report, episode 474, presented by Beyond the Monster. I'm Jordan, joined by Jack and Brian. Full weekend crew is back. How are we doing today, boys?
Yeah.
That's about right.
Took the words right out of my mouth there. Red Sox coming off a 4-game set against the very bad Baltimore Orioles. And it they are as mid a team as you can get. It's really impressive at this point. Went about as you'd expect. 4-game set, split it right down the middle. I mean, we may as well go game by game here, so we can at least appreciate some of the highs that happened in this series, without going into the doom and gloom right away. But yeah, so game one, that was fun, right? Like that was a good day. Um, Brian Bayo got the start against Cade Povich, so it wasn't a good day for everybody. It was not for Brian Bayo. Failed to make it through 5 innings again. Didn't even start the 5th inning. In this one, went 4 innings, allowing 2 earned runs. Walks weren't horrible for him. I think he only walked about 1 or 2. Struck out 7, so he was able to get some. Yeah, 1 walk, struck out 7, so he was able to get some separation for the season as far as his numbers go. This is like the first time he's had a start this year where the advanced analytics actually liked his outing. Didn't give up any home runs, only walked 1, struck out 7. That'll do that for you. But I'll start with you, Jack. What was your take on this Bayo outing as we lose Brian? So thank God I didn't start with him.
Yeah, that would be awkward. I mean, with Bayo, why does the changeup suck? Like, that's my main thing, is it's like everyone has been, since he was a prospect, so in love with Bayo's changeup. That's his pitch. That's what makes him Baby Pedro, because they're both short and Dominican and have good changeups. But Bayo's changeup sucks right now, and I don't know what it is. He's throwing it too hard. He's not locating it. It's a problem, and he was relying on the sweeper in this start, and it kind of worked. But it's also weird seeing him rely on the sweeper to that extent, because that's just not who Bayo has been, especially throwing it to lefties. It was weird. He was doing it, and it kind of worked. Like, he didn't get much length, but he did get the strikeouts and, only 2 runs, but also only 4 innings. I don't know. I mean, the cutter was there. Maybe that's something that he'll start throwing more, because he only threw it 10 times. So maybe he'll start utilizing the cutter more. That can be a weapon. But until the changeup's right, Bayo won't be right. And that's not ideal.
Yeah. I mean, he also just wasn't throwing his changeup. You mentioned he threw 10 cutters. He only threw 11 changeups in this outing. And, the velo is up. I mean, he threw a 91-mile-an-hour changeup. He did actually get a strikeout on a 90, I think, 0.4-mile-an-hour changeup to start the game. So, I mean, I think because when he came up in 2022, his changeup was like averaging 88 miles an hour as it was. So, like, and it was really good. Like, his best changeup was his rookie season. This year it's gone up in average. It's actually averaging 89.3. It averaged 89.6 in this start. But yeah, I mean, he's just not giving them much length. I think there's a difference between guys who suck and guys who play like they suck. And I think Brian Bayo is a guy who pitches like he sucks. Like, he's got all the tools. He's got great stuff. The changeup, when it's on, is one of the most unhittable pitches in the sport. And he's so good at getting to 2 strikes. And then he just stops pitching when he gets there. Like, I still think for some reason he thinks that he's a strikeout pitcher instead of just somebody capable of getting like 4 or 5. And over the course of an outing, he's like all or nothing there. He's either like, I will get none today or I will get 10. And that's like what his goal is. And instead of just being Brian Bayo, getting his 4 or 5 Ks where they come. And maybe one day you get a game where your changeup's really nasty, or you're locating a sinker and getting some backwards Ks, and you end up with 8. I don't know what's up with him. But I mean, it's not killed them yet. 4 innings, 2 earned is never gonna kill you, until you get into August and your bullpen's all fried because everyone's got 70 innings under the belt. Um, but yeah, I mean, he's a guy that I just think once he figures it out in the sense that he pitches, like, he's a guy who's got good stuff, kinda like Erod. Like, he'll start actually being a good major league pitcher, but until then, he's kind of a microcosm of the 2025 Red Sox. He's just a whole lot of mid, right now. Brian, what are your thoughts on Bayo, his outing, and just him overall?
Yeah, I think last year, there was some stuff with the immigration stuff with his wife and the family, and that played into it. But this year, it's like now, what's the issue? Now, all that should be resolved. What's going on here? But you're right. I mean, he just kind of a guy with that good of stuff. You're like, you don't know what the hell's going on. And I think his best start all year is when he had 11 ground ball outs against the Twins, and he's 6 2/3. The Twins are the Twins, so it's like nothing to make a big deal about, but. I think when he panics, he tries to strike guys out, and he just isn't that type of pitcher, and he's not good enough to do that. And 4 innings today, 4 innings the other night he pitched 4 1/3 against Atlanta, 4 2/3 against Detroit, 4 2/3 against Texas. It's like there's starting to be a trend here, and I mean, I feel bad for these guys like Liam Hendricks. He's pitching in these games like in the middle. He's like, "Fuck my life! Like, what am I doing with this team? Like, all right, I'll just pitch till my arm falls off or I pull my groin. Like, this is not what I signed up for." I mean, you got to have results that pitch, in key situations, but they're killing these poor guys. And then you got, they got guys up, they got guys down. Um, don't get me wrong. I mean, I can't imagine how bad this team would be if their bullpen wasn't doing what they were doing right now. I mean, they've really held these teams in some games, and they give them a chance to win if they could fucking hit the ball. If they had any type of offense, like I mean, this series would have been completely different. But it's really really hard to win a game when you're only getting 4 innings out of your starting pitching, and you had to score 19 runs to be like, oh wow, this is great. Oh yeah, all right, but no. I mean, how often is that going to happen? You're not going to blow these teams out. It's like, oh, we'll just take threes. When you hit them, it's great, but when you don't, you get your ass kicked by 20 points. So yeah, I mean, it's just tough, and I don't know what it is. I don't know. Has anybody looked at? I know as a staff, the Red Sox have not pitched deep into games. I know we love Navarez, what he brings to the table, and he looks so much better with the eye test to Wong. But is Wong the type of guy where it was dog shit after the All-Star break, and he gave up a lot of pass balls, but guys are pitching deeper into games? I love to see like a case by case basis to see like how that works. And I don't know, maybe you just if they're calling games differently or it's a Bailey thing or what's going on. But it just seems really odd that every single starting pitcher, is having trouble. And then when they do go deep into games like Giolito pitches 7, then it's like they don't score. Like there's a lot of moving parts here. I don't know if there's something we're not aware of or it just seems really fishy.
I think the irony is they're 7th as a staff in innings pitched, like starting pitchers.
Right.
They're 7th. I mean, that's counting today's game.
Okay.
I think they were still 7th counting. Um, yeah, I just filtered it again. They were 7th entering play for Game 4, as a staff. Although they do have the most games played in the league right now, which is concerning considering they're a 500 ball club.
Right.
I as far as how they do Wong versus Narvaez, I don't know, but I feel like it's a personnel thing. I mean, at a certain point, like it's a game planning,
Oh yeah.
it's an execution thing. I don't know if it's necessarily like who's behind the dish. Like I know also speaking of people behind the dish, Reese McGuire has 2 home runs today for the Cubs. Um, and him taking his number from Miles Mastroboni is just uh
Yeah.
fantastic,
Right.
comedy. Just absolutely love it. Um, but yeah, the innings thing is really becoming an alarming trend, and Cora's, like, pissed with Bayo. You can see it, like, in the dugout. Like, he looks agitated watching this guy pitch lately. They had, like, a really long conversation after Bayo's outing ended in game 1 of the series. Um, I don't know. I mean, I guess it's kinda like the changeup is going to carry him if he doesn't have it it's going to be a real slog to get through. And he's only really had it. Did he really even have it against Minnesota? I mean, that's the only start this year where he's like genuinely been like good. There's been like no deterrence from making it a good start. It's just been genuinely a good start. Was Minnesota, and I don't know, because I mean 6 2/3, 1 earned, and again that team's now scorching hot too. So it's not like he was facing some crappy team. He wasn't facing the Orioles when he did that. But yeah, I don't know. What do you think? What do you think, Jack? What is it going to take for this guy to kind of put it together? And what do you think the main issue is with the staff as far as not getting deep into games?
Well, I think it's a variety of factors in the sense that with Crochet, they're kind of trying to intentionally kind of use some kid gloves in certain games where he very clearly can go deeper, but he obviously hasn't thrown a ton of innings as a starter in his career. He's had injuries in the past before becoming a starter full time. So even though Crochet's a maniac and he wants to go, they're kind of like, well, we're gonna be careful with him. And then you have, Buehler coming off an injury. Giolito was allowed to go 7, but he's also coming off a long-term injury. And then it's self-inflicted wounds with guys like Bayo and Houck who just show up some days and don't have it whatsoever. And then you had like your Newcomb starts at points of the order, Dobbins, who's another young guy and has really struggled second and third time through the order, especially in his more recent starts. So I just think it's a combination of the starting pitchers they have on the roster and, both confidence from be it the front office or the coaching staff in those pitchers or those pitchers' confidence in their own ability, all being like a terrible feedback loop contributing to where we are right now.
Yeah, and I'm looking at Bayo's BABIP in his last 2 starts. Against Baltimore, it was 600, and against the Braves, it was 526. Those were his last 2 outings. That's insane. And yeah, to your point, there's a lot of questions, and it's so difficult to see like if it's personnel, if it's coaching, if it's just strictly players, if it's what it is. But I just feel like it's weird because like so they had the doubleheader in game 2 or on Saturday. Well, initially Friday and then on Saturday. There was like no fresh arm called up initially for what was it? There was some situation where oh no, this goes back to the Mets series. The Crochet game where they knew they were going to take him out early, but the bullpen was completely like dead. It was like Sean Newcomb, and that was it. And he had just thrown like 80 pitches 3 days prior, which by the way, RIP Sean Newcomb, his Red Sox career looks like it's over. Gone but not forgotten for your sacrifices. And they didn't call up a fresh arm for that game, whether it be Zach Kelly, who we saw in game 4 of the series, or Luis Guerrero, who we saw in game 3 of the series. It's not like either of them really provided much relief. But it's like it's a combination of things. Like the starters aren't going deep into the games, or they're not allowed to go deep into the games. The relievers are doing the best job they can. I mean, the bullpen's been phenomenal the last handful of outings, save for a couple guys. And then, on days where you're planning on not having a guy go long, you don't have enough relievers to really justify it. Like, I mean, you never should go in a winnable game and be like, yeah, Sean Newcomb's our guy to get us through the heart of the Mets order. Like that was crazy to me. I don't know. It ended up being Hendricks, and then they wanted to buy like an extra inning out of him, and then suddenly Sean Newcomb was in the game, and I'm like, I almost went my entire 2025 experience not watching Sean Newcomb live, and the Mets game kind of killed that. But yeah, I mean, somebody's got to step up at a certain point because it's like you have your ace, and then who's the 2? And I think Bueller is like the guy, but he's really pitched like a 3. So I'm still asking who the 2 is.
And it's not Sean Newcomb anymore.
It's not Sean Newcomb, despite him being second among pitchers on the team in Fangraphs WAR. It's not Sean Newcomb. Somebody's got to step up and become a 2, though, because you can't have such a wide gap between your ace and the rest of your pitching staff.
What's the update, Jordan, on all these guys that were hurt? That was our depth, like Cutter and Fitz, and like what's any news on any of those guys?
Well, Fitz is scheduled for a rehab start Tuesday,
Okay.
but they also haven't committed to Dobbins for Tuesday. So there's like some debate on whether or not Fitz will come back for Tuesday's start, which I think would be stupid. He threw 38 pitches in his first rehab outing. And if your problem right now is guys aren't giving you length, what the fuck is 50 pitches of Richard Fitz going to do to help? Right? Like, Cutter is still pretty far away, it sounds like. I mean, he's facing live batters, right? He faced them last week. But I don't know. I still feel like it's probably more post All-Star break for Cutter. Patrick Sandoval threw a bullpen a few days ago. It was only 16 pitches and it was all fastballs. But I guess that's a guy that's also probably post All-Star break, probably more 2026. And then am I missing somebody? And then they just killed Sean Newcomb. So
Yeah, and what was the official terminology they used for Tanner? Indefinitely, or what was the? What did
yeah,
they say?
like 15-day IL, but like his injury is like a wicked precursor for Tommy John. So it's like I'd be shocked if we saw him for a while. He
So
hasn't thrown.
he's got he's got a strain in his UCL or something probably.
It's what, like a pronator flexor strain or something they called it. I don't know. It's
It just means he does this instead of this. This is subnate and this pronate.
yeah.
Okay,
He's
right.
gonna become a supinator, not a pronator, and he's gonna magically turn back into 2021 Tanner Houck.
If he pitched softball, it'd be fine. If he just was underhand, it wouldn't be a problem.
Yeah.
The overhand is what's killing him.
That it is. But yeah, I mean, ultimately, I mean, we're focusing a lot on the negative of game one with Bayo's 4 innings pitched, but the Red Sox offense absolutely torched the Orioles. Not all at first. I think it was 3-2 Baltimore going into the 6th. And then Duran RBI single. Oh, also Bregman died in this game. Which is not fun. I mean, quad strain, he's out for a while. And it seemed like that was kind of going to be like the knife twisting into their heart a little bit. But then Duran hit the RBI single, or Rafael tied it with an RBI single, made it 2-2. Duran hit an RBI single to make it 3-2. And then the hottest hitter on the planet, Rafi Devers, absolutely demolished a 3-run home run off of Gregory Soto.
Yeah.
And my every ounce of life went back into my body when he hit that. And the Red Sox scored way more runs than that later on. Trevor Story got a hit in this game.
Whoa. Come on now. Let's yeah.
After the position player got him out once, he got a double off of him the second time up. He actually had the 5th hardest hit ball of this game at 106.5 miles an hour. And I had to listen to Jonathan Papelbon lie on the pregame for game 2 that this is going to be what started his ascent. No, it didn't. I'm curious because this is something that I've thought in the past. Like when it comes time to throw out your position player as a pitcher, like do you guys enjoy watching that? Like at
Yes.
all? You do?
Yeah. I mean, I miss the Darnell McDonald days. Like that was like a key part of my childhood was when Darnell McDonald would pitch. You'd get it like once a month at least, and you'd go out there and I'd be like, it's a Darnell day. But you know, it's fun, it's silly, it's harmless. All for it.
I like it when they can actually pitch.
Same.
When they brought Mitch Moreland in and he's throwing like 96, 97.
Yeah, he threw
Like, where the
gas.
hell did that come from? And
I
he's like,
can't
well,
think-
I already
there's like a
tested for
utility
HGH this
guy.
year. They can't test me twice. It's like, all right, bring it.
I mean, Chris Davis pitched like 5 innings of relief in a game against the Red Sox in 2012. I think it was a Darnell McDonald day. Chris Davis got the win in relief, and he struck out like 4 guys. He was throwing like 92 with like sink. I'm like, the guy should have pulled a Joey Gallo when his hitting career clearly ended and come back as a pitcher instead of retiring.
Yeah.
Um,
It's computers now, but the poor intern back in the day on Pitch FX who had to be like, well, I think that's a knuckle curve / slider / And then like the next pitch is even slower and it says fastball. And you're like,
Yeah.
oh, all right, then good luck, kid.
We're just basing it off the trajectory of the pitch.
Yeah.
I mean,
Like, well, it had 15, feet of drop, so it must have been a sinker.
it had to have been. Emmanuel Rivera threw 45 pitches. It gave up 8 runs in the or 9 runs in the 8th inning of this game. And the Red Sox blew it open to take, at the time, a 19-3 lead. Devers hit a grand slam off of them,
Yep.
which I think it's so funny watching Devers approach against position players because this is second at bat against them this year. And he just stands there with like his bat on his shoulder, like he doesn't give any shit. And then he hit a grand slam in this at bat, which was pretty cool. His second grand slam of the week, which was pretty cool. And then we got to watch Babraham Toro go out there, give up a couple runs through 13 ephises, got a whiff on one. And yeah, Red Sox win game 1 19-5.
Yeah.
So even without Alex Bregman, they laid the wood on the Baltimore Orioles, which was nice considering.
Was that the game, Jordan, that Devers officially became the RBI leader in Major League Baseball?
Yes.
Which is, I mean, that kind of crop up in a hurry, huh? That Owen whatever start, you're like, all right, he'll rebound. Maybe by June he'll have his shit together. And I know he's been kind of like in the zone, but I didn't realize he had that many RBIs all of a sudden. Holy shit.
Yeah. Like I hope the people had fun in March when he started 0 for 21 with 15 Ks.
Yeah.
This dude is the hottest he's probably been. I mean, he had a 6-game home run streak last year, and the way he looks right now is like so much better than he did even during that streak. He's an animal right now, and he 12 home runs. I think 48 runs batted in now.
Yeah.
He's a beast. Don't mess with something that's working.
Well, fuck it. Let's just have him play third base or first base. Like, he's fine, right? Like, let's just fuck with his, everything, right?
When Bregman got hurt, I was like praying that Devers would like seek out the media post game and be like, "I'll play third," just to be like an asshole to Breslow a little bit. Just be like, "I'm volunteering myself to play third base," so that way when he doesn't, nobody can call him selfish. Jack, have you ever seen Devers this locked in? Because I'm trying to remember a time. I mean, like 2019, he had the 200 hits in that year. 2021 was kind of like his most all-around season, I felt like. But like the way he looks right now, like the stretch he's on is like ridiculous.
Yeah, and I think it's why like this obsession with trying to mess with him and trying to be like, oh, let's learn a new position on the fly. Like he's taking this DH thing really well and is putting up, he's on pace to have the best season of his career if he keeps up this trajectory and we just ignore those terrible 4 days of hell. It's like, let him do this because this is why you're paying him. You're not paying him to play the field, and you never did. Like he didn't become a $300 million player because he was a Gold Glove defender. Like that's not why you gave him that contract. So just let him do what he's good at. He's so locked in. He seems like he's having a good time on the field, even if he hates his boss. And I'm all good with it.
Yeah, and he was the hero in game 2. He's been clutch this year too,
Yeah.
which was something that like last year I felt like a lot of times he came up in big situations, and I know he had the walk-off against Seattle, and a couple other like timely hits throughout the year, but it felt like there was a lot of times he left big runs on the table, and this year so far, that's not happening.
Yeah. And I think over the course of his career, he's kind of always like forced it in big situations. He's always like, it feels like he is swinging at every pitch for a home run in a big moment late in the game. And I think he's kind of, matured a little and realized, hold on, like I am too good to fall into that trap. And we're seeing the results of that.
Yeah. The big thing, Jordan, he's hitting lefties a lot better now.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, his strikeout percentage has gone down and his walks have gone up. And I think maybe 2019 in July, he had like 9 home runs and 34 RBIs. That was like the hottest that I've ever seen him. But he doesn't swing at bullshit anymore. He's like, all right, it's got to be right here. And he's got a little bit of like, I'm Devers factor. So they're trying to be a little too perfect with him. And then with Bregman behind him, they had to pitch to him. Now I don't know how that's all going to work out. Because it's kind of like the, I'm sure you guys probably saw the documentary with, it was Greg Maddux, and he said Bonds is the easiest guy to pitch to in Major League Baseball history. You just don't pitch to him unless you have to. Like, just fucking walk him every time. He's like, if you pitch to Bonds, you're stupid. He's like, I just walk him, throw him 4 straight balls, and I move on to the next guy. I can get who the dog shit lineup the Giants have. It's not Jeff Kent, but like, with Devers, I don't know if he can keep this streak going. He might walk a ton, but I don't know what the production with Bregman out of the lineup, what that's going to mean for him,
Yeah, that's always one thing that I worry about with guys like that in lineups that are not the best constructed or like best with as far as personnel goes, because like somebody like Bryce Harper, I felt like when he was still with the Nats, there were some years where that lineup really had a hole after him, or like a black hole after him, and Harper got walked a ton, and he would get bored of walking and he would start expanding the zone and forcing himself into slumps because he just wanted to hit.
right?
And I don't know if Devers is that mature as a hitter to allow the other team to just keep putting him on base. I mean, so far he has been. He's got a 406 OBP through 55 games. That's the
Yeah.
longest into a season he's ever had an OBP over 400. But we get to like June 15th, and the Red Sox are still teetering this line of being a mediocre team, and Willier's hitting third behind him, or Campbell, or heaven forbid Marcelo Mayer has to play himself into that spot, or somebody else is hitting third, and they're not producing behind him. How soon before he goes, I have to start being Raffy Devers of like 2022 and 2023, which were still good versions of himself, but he'd get himself out a lot more because he chased a ton and wouldn't walk. And it'll be interesting to see in the next couple of weeks while the Red Sox are kind of searching for who's going to replace Alex Bregman in the lineup, because Abraham Toro has been fun the last couple of days, but I don't think it'll be him. It just won't be. But yeah, so into game 2, Red Sox get the start from Hunter Dobbins, who had a big day for strikeouts and whiffs. He had 14 whiffs, 7 Ks through 4+ innings. But gave up a single and a double to start the 5th, and then got lifted. Did not get a chance to face the lineup a third time, and then in comes Mr. Sean Newcomb for the last time, and gave up, I think, 1 of the inherited runners and then 2 of his own, and it really looked like the Red Sox were kind of dead to rights at that point. But I'm jumping too far ahead. Have y'all ever seen the grounds crew like come out and really tend to the field like that without tarping it?
I
Like,
don't
that was
think
a
so.
first for me. It was like that rain, lose like it's hailing right now. Like, how on earth were the players just like told to stay out there? They
And Jaron decided he was going to nuke one anyway.
Sharon crushed one. Yeah. Zach Eflin, when he gave up the home run to Duran, I was like, I would be bullshit if I were him because it's pouring. I have to pitch through that. Then you decide to fix the field. But then he gave up a bomb to Willier, and I'm like, it's just a skill issue. Like, figure it out, bud. He gave a bomb to him. Also gave up a home run to Abraham Toro. So there's your 3 home runs in the game. But this was a nice little win for the Sox. I know the Orioles suck, and this game dropped the Orioles to 16-34. But this was a nice little gritty come from behind win. Your first game not having Alex Bregman in the lineup at all. You had your corners of Toro and Sogard, which the infield lineups lately have been giving spring training vibes like it's nothing. And you scratch and clawed your way back into the game, and Raffy's the hero again. And like I said, Sean Newcomb was sacrificed for this win. So I hope they're happy. Yeah. Pour one out for Sean Newcomb, because his Sox career it's got to be over. Right? Like,
Yeah.
there's no way he clears, right?
Yeah, someone will take a flyer.
some bad team is going to snag him and he's going to like magically become good for them. And I'm going to be like
I saw
vomiting.
this entire thread by some Royals fan account being like, Sean Newcomb will save the Royals, like sincerely. And I was like, if you guys think that, if it happens, that would be funny.
Well, the Royals pitched their ass off.
He's got Dodgers reclamation project written all over him. He's gonna call Ryan Brazier and be like, "Listen, this is how you do it.
Can somebody help me fix my cutter, please?"
Yeah, like don't worry, we'll just come in the lab out in LA. We'll take care of you, and you'll be good. You can tease Kenley Jansen that you're on the team and he's not. We call him late at night. Hey, do you want to come to the Dodgers? And we hang up. That's what they do. They crank call him. Poor guy.
Yeah, poor guy's got an ERA over 5 too.
Gotta eat, and he does.
Yeah. Sean Newcomb's gonna go to the Dodgers, throwing like 97 all of a sudden, wipe out cutter, and everyone's gonna be like, "Why, why?" But yeah, I mean, like I said, kind of a gritty win. And the Red Sox had a nice little winning streak of 2 in a row.
Yeah,
like we're back in business. With Giolito going game 3. I'm sorry, I don't know if I just breezed through this one. I don't know if there's anything in particular that you guys wanted to touch on because I just breezed through a pretty exciting game for no real reason. Is there anything from this game that sticks out that I didn't mention?
I really do like the 7 strikeouts in 4 innings out of Dobbins. That's encouraging. So hopefully once things get a little more refined, he can be a legit guy for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Were you surprised to see him only throw 2 splitters though, Jack?
A little, but at the same time, I kind of am enjoying the fact that he's kind of realized, okay, I can use the slider against righties and I can use the curve against lefties. And those will be like kind of my put away pitches. And it was mainly working. So we'll see how that formula goes. It is weird he didn't throw that many, but maybe this is kind of what they want to try for a little and then incorporate the splitter back in.
Maybe. They mentioned, I know Will Fleming brought it up. This was like this during the beginning of the second trip through, that he was basically 4-seam slider heavy. And they were wondering if this was kind of like their way of trying to get him through a second and third trip. It's like we don't show the splitter at all first time through. And then we kind of bring it in throw it a few times the second trip through, then you go the third trip through, and then that becomes kind of your put away, especially against lefties. I thought that might be it, but then I looked at the breakdown after the game. I'm like, this man threw 2 in 72 this man threw 2 across 72 pitches. And he only gave up, I think, 1 earned run was charged to him because I think only 1 inherited guy scored off of Newcomb. Did you think it was odd that they didn't let him go the third trip at all? Even though the first 2 guys reached to end the second trip? I thought it was kind of odd given the pitch count, and then especially when your decision was to go to Sean Newcomb.
Their bullpen is rested, so fuck it, right? I mean, it's not like they had done anything in the past 2 weeks, so you got plenty of guys up there. You had Newcomb, so why bother? I mean, I think they're like, oh, well, he's going to throw 72 pitches, so like we can take Dobbins out in the second inning and just let it roll, and we'll blow his arm out, no big deal.
I literally thought they were going to pitch, like the 2 guys that have pitched so much that I thought their arms were going to blow out. Sean Newcomb, and then Brendan Bernardino's pitched like every single day in May. He found a way to pitch during the rainout. That man's arm has got to be made of like rubber because there's no way that dude isn't like feeling it. I was shocked he didn't pitch in the series finale. I truly was. They would have found a way to get him out there. But yeah, I mean, the velo was up for Dobbins too, across the board. Slider was up 1.8 miles an hour on average. 4-seam average 95.5. That was up 1.5 miles an hour. Curve was up a mile an hour. Sweeper was up 0.5 mile an hour. And then his 2 splitters were up 1.2 miles an hour on average. So, nice to see the velo up, the whiffs up, because he was really not striking out a lot of guys last handful of times or last few times out. Is he in your best 5 when the guys come back? Jack, would you have him in your best 5?
That's hard because I think right now you're looking at obviously, you're not even thinking about anybody but Crochet. Crochet is your clear ace, and then from there, it really is. I feel like it's going to be based on where everybody's at. I think Giolito's completely locked in and Bueller's completely locked in at this point. So you've got those two in there, and then they're not going to abandon Bayo probably. So he's in there too. So then at that point, I think it's going to be a knife fight between Dobbins, Fitz, and Houck if we ever see Houck again for that 5th slot. And obviously, they could also go out and trade for a guy. This might not, the group of starters currently on the roster might not be where we end up. But I think as of right now, he has at least the pole position on that 5th spot, even though I think Fitz might be a little more developed at this point. So it'll kind of be touch and go between him and Fitz, I would guess.
Yeah, it's like I feel like at this point, like when Fitz is healthy, it'll be Fitz. It may not be Fitz for very long. I mean, it'll have to be for 3 trips unless somebody gets hurt. But they need length, and if you don't trust Dobbins for 3 trips, it's probably going to have to be Fitz. Because you need length, and that's the one thing that Richard Fitz has been able to guarantee you in his MLB career so far. Like oh, I didn't even fucking realize what I said. I did.
All right.
I didn't even realize what I said.
You're right, Jordan. You're right. I mean, that you bring up a good point.
Oh man. Oy vey. But yeah, you need innings. And that's the one thing that he's been able to provide as a major leaguer so far. I think in a vacuum, I would take the stuff of Dobbins, but you need innings, and Fitz provides that. And so when he's ready, whenever that is, the Dobbins will probably be the guy that goes. I do wonder how long. I mean, they extended him, so they're locked in with him. They need to get him right. But like what the leash kind of looks like for Bayo, like is it similar to what it was last year, where they get like I don't want to say fed up with him, but they start bumping him back a start. Do they go 6-man briefly? Like, do you really need a Sean Newcomb, Cooper Criswell in the bullpen if you could just have an extra starter? But then again, if you're not getting starters going longer than 5 innings, that's one less reliever if you have 6 starters. So,
and it's delaying Crochet's games, which give you your best chances of winning. Unfortunately, that's like your kind of one time where you feel like, okay, Crochet's on the mound. We're going in with like at least a 70% chance of winning most days. In a 6-man, those are happening less often.
The crazy thing is they're 6-5 when Crochet starts.
Yeah, but that's not his fault.
Oh, I know. Oh, I know. I know. But they're 6-5 when he starts, and they're 1-3 when he starts and I go. So don't worry, guys. I'm taking a break from going to Fenway Park after Game 3 of this series.
Who's their best statistical starter? Do we know? It's good. Like it'd be like a shock, right? Like the guy yeah. You know what I'm asking. Who wins the most when they start?
I think it's Bayo.
Yeah, which is like how awful is that? Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was the same case last year. Bayo had like a 5.5 ERA, and they were like 10-3 in his first 13 starts.
He's very motivational.
Yeah, they love it because they know they have to score when he pitches, or at least last year. I mean, we thought they loved scoring for Dobbins. Dobbins didn't get a 19-run outing, got 18, but the leader as far as runs in a game is when Brian Bayo pitches now. So
they had somebody, Jordan, a couple years ago. I can't remember who it was. He averaged like 6 runs a start or something crazy offensively.
Wasn't it Erod?
It might have been. There was somebody you were like, oh, well, how the hell did he get that many wins? Because he had like an ERA of like 4.5 or something crazy.
Oh,
and it was like,
Porcello too.
yeah.
The year he won Cy Young, they averaged
Right.
like 7.5 runs when he
Yeah.
pitched.
Yeah,
Like, it
which
was
is
crazy.
insane. I mean, just it's just it doesn't happen.
Yeah, the other team would score like 2 in the first inning off of Porcello. The Red Sox would come back with like 7, and then Rick would go 6 of two earned
Yeah.
runs.
Yeah.
And he did that 22 times and won the Cy Young.
I would take that now. I mean, if they could just get 6 innings out of like three out of the 5 guys, it would be huge for this team. It'd make such a big deal.
Yeah. The one problem is though, you have to I don't want to say you have to baby your ace, but you don't want to you want him to be able to go full bore post All-Star break, because that was what he didn't do last year, because they were, I mean, mostly self-imposed, I think, because he was
Right.
still on the White Sox. But if your ace is a guy that you have to have designated, you're only throwing 85 pitches kind of days, it's really tough to not have a legitimate number 2. And that's not entirely the fault of the organization. Like Tanner Houck coming in and being a pumpkin wasn't really on their radar. And, Bayo getting hurt in spring training and then coming back and not being a guy who provides length was not on their radar either. I mean, even Bayo at his worst last year was still giving you 6 innings a start.
How smart do they look, Tanner, by not giving Tanner an extension?
Well, didn't they offer him one?
But
It's more like, how dumb does Tanner look for not taking it?
well, either way, yeah, I guess. But I mean, the way you look at it, I mean, if he's probably going to have Tommy John surgery at some point. They're going to, it's a dog and pony show where they're kind of like, all right, we'll give him a plasma injection, we'll give him a rehab, we'll give him this, we'll give him that. But eventually, those things don't get better. They typically don't. And I mean, he's a young guy. If there's an issue, just take care of it, get it done, start over. I mean, why prolong the inevitable? I mean, you don't have anything to gain by stretching this thing out.
I will also say, if they delay it too much, then you wipe out 2026.
Right.
And I'm not saying they are not going to just delay him having surgery if he needs it. But if it's looking like at the end of, or mid-June, that he's going to need surgery, if he's going to need the internal brace procedure, then just have him get it. Don't try to rest him and then in August have him go on a little mini rehab stint, and then you're like, oh no, he needs the surgery, and then again you don't have him in 2026, because then you're banking on Giolito, or you're banking on potentially Buehler coming back with Crochet, and then you have Patrick Sandoval coming off a major arm injury.
Yeah. Well, what I don't understand is the thing for Tanner. He was throwing not slow. He just had no control, right? No command.
Mm.
So it was like, if the results were there, I don't even think anybody would have thought of an injury thing. And I think that they put him on. They looked at him like, oh, he's got a bad elbow, bad whatever. But I mean, his velocity really, really down? I mean, I know he was throwing 97, 98, but I mean, he wasn't throwing 90 either.
No, I mean,
it was just a feel thing, So I don't know. That's almost like a nerve thing at that point where it just control is off. But he's never really had great control.
I mean, his velo's been great all year.
Yeah.
I mean, last year, what was his velo on average last year? His fastball, it was 93.8 miles an hour in 2024. This year, 95.2.
Yeah.
So the velo is up. And I mean, I guess in some ways, there's this talking point, and I haven't read the studies on it, where chasing velo leads to arm injuries, which I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah.
More, especially somebody like Tanner, a lot of torque in his motion. But you got guys building velo. I mean, you see it with Bayo on his changeup, and I mean, even his fastball is sustaining velo deep into starts.
Right.
I mean, Tanner, that's a 1.5 mile an hour gain on velo on average from last year to this year. That's a lot.
Sure.
And he's 29. So, he's 28. He turns 29 in June. So, is that possible that contributed to it? Maybe. I mean, it's also possible that, that delivery, we called him the righty Chris Sale for a reason when he was coming up.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
So who knows? Well, I mean, we'll see. I mean, the home runs were what was really killing him. I mean, 2.06 per 9 for a ground ball guy. That's pretty nuts. But who knows? We'll see if we.
What was leading to the home runs, though, Jordan? Was it too many sinkers or too many splitters that weren't splitting? I mean, what was it just across the board, or was there one thing that they could isolate that be like, oh yeah, it's not working?
Well, I think a lot of times, especially guys that get a lot of ground balls, like sometimes it's just a matter of the one mistake I make gets crushed.
Yep.
You know, like last year, I mean, Cutter's not a ground ball pitcher, but like in the first half, I felt like there wasn't a huge difference in pitch location first half to second half.
Yeah.
But in the first half, he had a 3 ERA, and in the second half, he gave up like 9 home runs an outing.
Yep.
It's like every mistake got hammered. And
Well,
that's
and
just
so to
happens.
break it down for one particular game, remember that first Giolito start where he's pitching like holy shit, and then all of a sudden, like what the last 2 innings he gave was it 3 home runs?
He gave
So
up
all of a
he
sudden it
gave
was
up
like
2 home runs in the 6th. He gave up 3
yeah,
runs in
yeah,
the 6th inning.
but all of a sudden the wheels just fell right off.
Yeah. I don't know what the issue is. I mean, sometimes it's literally just a matter of mistake made,
Yep.
they hit it out,
Yep.
and
Repeatedly.
repeatedly. And some guys just have the rotten luck. I mean, last year people said the same thing on the flip side with Tyler O'Neill. It's like, yeah, he's got like 18 solo home runs, but also any given year, you know, he could have 10 solo shots and, you know, 7 3-run home runs. It's just a matter of circumstance. Like you can't just control when you hit the ball out of the ballpark. You can't just be like, I gotta move 4 of these solo home runs to when the bases are loaded. You can't just do that. But yeah, it's just a matter of luck. And then obviously something's been biting his elbow. So we'll see. We shall see. But yeah, Sox win game 2, 6-5. Again, 2-game winning streak for their last 5. Round of applause for the Red Sox after losing the opening series with Atlanta. Get into game 3. And I mean, game 2 of a doubleheader, I feel like is always like prime for a pitcher's duel. But like thinking about Trevor Rogers and Lucas Giolito going band for band, like if this was 2021, I would have been like, yeah, duh, like those guys are good. It's 2025. They both kind of suck, and they both were lights out in this game. But the main storyline of this game, Marcelo getting the call to the major leagues. We finally got our wish. We still got one more wish that we've been trying to make, but the genie won't grant us Roman Anthony. But we got Marcelo Mayer, by the grace of God, and a clubby from Worcester bringing him to Fenway because he couldn't find his
In a
goddamn car
fucking
keys.
Kia, man. A Kia has brought him to the show.
Yeah.
Like really? How do you not have your keys for 3 weeks? Like somebody explain that one to me. I don't get that, Jordan.
I don't know, but if this were an NBA debut, that would have gone gangbusters for them with all the Kia ads we had over the years, like Blake Griffin dunking over a car, Marcelo getting shipped to Boston in a Kia. I thought I was going to witness history, and I guess I did. I witnessed his debut, but over 4 3 Ks.
That was about it.
Over 4 3 Ks wasn't fun. Nick Sogard saved him from an error, but
You get his Trevor Story impersonation out of the way. That's the
It
last
was-
time he'll ever be compared to Trevor Story.
it was pretty funny. I was watching the game. I was sitting with a friend of the program, Duncan Turn, Adam, and we were joking about how through 2 at bats, Story had grounded out twice and Meyer had struck out twice. So it was like pump the brakes. Maybe Story's still better than him. Yeah, I mean, what did you? I was in bleacher 37, so I was a country mile from home plate. How did Meyer look on TV, like at the plate as far as poise goes, and like even in the field? Again, I was a million feet from where he was sitting or where he was playing. Brian, I'll start with you. How do you think Meyer looked, at least physically, in the?
Yeah, well, I mean, I was at home between the 2 games, and the build-up and the post-game was, he's on his way, and the tweets were coming, and then they had the whole thing. I think Section 10 had it on their Twitter where like they showed the video of like the manager talking to him. So like there's a lot of build-up for it, and it was like, well, they're facing the lefty, so he might not play, blah blah blah, and then no, he's in the lineup. And I think that he did what a polished minor leaguer would do. He wasn't fooled on anything that was near the zone, but he wasn't used to facing guys that are that good on the edges of the plate or with their breaking pitches. And that's the difference between minor league baseball and major league baseball. Minor league baseball, guys aren't getting their breaking stuff over for strikes typically, where in the majors they do it repeatedly. And I think he was kind of fooled. And then when he was behind in the count, he got kind of defensive, which is fine because, I remember I love the stat where was it Trout's first year he hit like 187. So, I mean, these things take time. And I can only imagine what he was going through. I mean, Jordan, you're a pretty good baseline for this. The story, on your pitch, at Fenway, where I was in a car from the Cape all the way to Boston. That's a long ride, so I was tense. Well, how tense do you think a Worcester to Fenway trip is too? Especially because with the carpal tunnel, he said he replied to I don't know, 50 texts. Everybody's like, congratulations. So you roll out of a car. You probably didn't have a cup on. He didn't have a cup on. Rip Marabelli didn't have a cup on. You guys fly out of the car. They throw you on Fenway, and it's your time to shine. And as you know from firsthand experience, it doesn't always go well. But if you had more prep time, things would have been different.
I like comping me to Marcelo Mayer. That really
it's the closest that I could come up with that we're all familiar with, and I think we could, and you could personally relate. So
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I was surprised to see him in the lineup.
Yep.
Because that's really atypical of what what the Red Sox do. Farrell did the same thing. Like Devers got called up, didn't play the first day. Benintendi pinch hit in the 9th inning, but wasn't going to play the day he got called up. We saw it with Campbell made the opening day roster, had known he was going to be a major leaguer for 10 days at that point, so it made sense that he would start. But a lot of guys that get called up, they don't go in right away. Cam Boozer was an exception, it felt like, but they were also up by 80 against Pittsburgh. And it was Pittsburgh. Fenway Park, that's a pretty ambitious, and against a lefty too. I was shocked to see him in the lineup. It was nice to see him. I thought he looked comfortable in the sense that he physically looked like he belonged at the major league level. Obviously the results weren't there in game one for him, but it's nice that we can finally rip the Band-Aid off and see the guy play every single day. And I think that's really nice. Jack, what did you think of Mayer and the whole shebang with him getting called up and making his debut?
Yeah, I don't have too much to add that hasn't already been said. Glad he's here. I think, I'm not worried about, an 0 for 4 debut. It's fine. I'm happy to see him in the lineup. Hopefully, we're gonna get a good glimpse at him while Bregman's out because we need him. And we'll see where things go. If once Bregman's back, that's Trevor Story gets the nukem, or what happens from there. But for now, just happy we have both Mayer and Campbell. There's going to be growing pains, but I'd rather have growing pains with guys who I think are going to be good than be bad with guys who will never be good.
Yeah. I do wonder what their plan is. And it looks like, he's got 2 starts at third, but I wonder how soon, how much longer the leash is for Story now that Meyer's there in the building. Sogard, it's not like he's killing the ball, but he's giving you something at the plate. He's putting together competitive at bats. He's had a few timely hits. How much longer the leash is now that Meyer's in the building for Trevor Story? In this game, Trevor got pinch hit for. That's not something we've seen yet this year. Against Sir Anthony Dominguez, and I don't remember what inning it was. I think it was the 6th. They brought in Willier for him. So that's a new development in the Trevor Story downfall, getting pinch hit for. I don't know how much longer the leash is for him. You got Hamilton, so you could still put him at shortstop, but it's David Hamilton at shortstop. It's a little scary. But we'll see. And it felt like for the longest time, we're Story needs to go, Mayer needs to get called up and play shortstop. But now that you are going to have to play both of them, you're going to have growing pains with Campbell at second, growing pains with Mayer at third, both learning new positions on the fly at the major league level. And then Story, who has regressed defensively and can't hit. And at first base, it's Abraham Toro and Nick Sogard.
Well, those guys are stabilizing forces, which is good.
They have been. They actually have been, which is nuts and scary. Abraham Toro's got a 750 slug right now. So I don't know how much longer the leash is for Trev. Were either of you shocked when he got pinch hit for? Because I kind of was. I just didn't think Cora had the stones to do it, really.
It's another nail in the coffin, Jordan. You're right, because we wouldn't have seen that move maybe even 2 weeks ago.
4 days ago, even.
Yeah, I really think Story is conscious enough and doesn't have the huge ego that a lot of these guys do. He did that camp down at his house in Texas to kind of like, hey, listen, like, Grissom come down, these other guys come down and work with these guys. He's got to know. I mean, he had some awesome years in Colorado, and I mean, don't get me wrong, the money's good, but he's not some jerk. He's not, it was Anthony Rendon who just wants the money and doesn't want to play baseball. I mean, it's got to kill him that he's making good money and he sucks. I mean, it's just he's a professional baseball player. It's the best thing he can do on planet Earth, and he can't do it anymore. Like, period. He can field above average probably right now, but he cannot hit at all. He can run into a home run every once in a while, and people will go nuts, and or he might have a couple hot 2 games, but he's not going to have that 7-week JBJ thing or that month JBJ thing that we're hoping for. It's just not going to happen this year. And I'm trying to figure out the square pegs and the round holes. And I'm like, okay, if we move this guy here and this guy here, and I'm like, okay, Duran used to play second base. Okay, because how do you keep Rafael? It's not like, but it's not realistic because that's not going to happen. It's there was a tweet, was it Stats or somebody said, you call up Anthony now and then the kids will be here, but are people ready for that? Because when that happens, I'm not saying like it's a rebuild year or like a transition year, but that's kind of like jumping the shark a little bit. And if those guys are getting at bats, it means other things haven't worked out or you have major problems. And I really want to see Anthony here, but how does that work with all the other positions? And I to the life of me, I still can't figure it all out.
Yeah. There's a lot of moving parts that go into it. Cause like even now that Bregman's out, even removing Story from the lineup is a huge decision. It wasn't, I mean, it still was when it was just getting rid of him and calling up Mayer. But now that Meyer's here, having to remove Story from the lineup or the team, period, is a big call to make. Because then who takes his spot? Like, you don't have somebody like Chase Mydrop that can come up and step in and play shortstop. Like, Vaughn Grissom is a bad shortstop. It's not going to be him. I would not put him at third base either. And if you, it's just it gets a little weird. You don't want to put Rafaela back on the infield because one, he wasn't good at it last year. I know he made some nice plays, but he statistically was not a good shortstop. He's an all-world center fielder. People have started wanting to put Duran back at second base.
Right.
He got moved to the outfield because he couldn't play second base as a pro. He's ridiculously fast too, but he wasn't a good second baseman.
Which is bizarre because second base, I mean, typically it's not. I mean, you can get by at second base. I mean, don't get me wrong, you need decent hands. But there's a lot of shortstops who move to second base because they can't play shortstop. And I just think that the athletic ability to play center field, I just think it's so much more challenging than playing second base. But some guys, you're right, they just can't do it.
Yeah. So it gets me wondering because now, I mean, it feels like the ultimate goal now is to get Campbell playing first because, I mean, he's working on it every single day, which is another new position for him to learn while he's trying to figure it out offensively at the major league level. So if you go to that extreme, is it Story moves to second, Meyer goes to short, and then you're putting Sogard at third or Toro at third or who it is when you move Campbell to first base? Is that when Grissom comes back and he's your second baseman? Because then that gets a little weird. Because there's been a lot of moving parts. And I think he's pissed in AAA right now. Like he's got to be, because he's played well and hasn't gotten really much burn. He hasn't gotten any burn up here in 2025. There's a lot of moving parts still to be made. And you're right, Brian. It's you have all three of them at the major league level. We're back in 2015.
Yeah.
With Bogarts, Betts, and Bradley. That's where we're at.
Yeah.
When do you make that call though? Is that like a post deadline call? Can you wait that long to call up Roman Anthony regardless of how the team's doing?
Well, it's probably child labor laws. I mean, he's not 21 yet, right? He's still 20, so there's probably laws against him, playing in Fenway in Boston late at night. That's the only thing I can possibly think of that would keep him in Worcester. But
he turned 21 on the 13th.
Oh, he did. All right, congratulations, Roman Anthony. All right, yeah, doesn't have to use
drink.
the fake anymore. All right, that's worth some money if you can find that thing. But you see Anthony is in left field?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, and then you make the hard decision in center then, right? Or do you put Rafael at second base if you're going to put Campbell at first? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just like somebody's left out here.
Yeah. You can't make every.
Abreu sucks and he can't hit, so he's going to have a shit year right out of spring training. So we'll just can't. Oh wait, he's good now.
Yeah.
He's probably one of their best outfielders as far as like a guy like. I'm not worried about him at all. I love the gun. I love the gun in right field, the arm. You know, and yeah, I don't know.
It's a weird situation because they're a 500 team, but there's too many mouths to feed. Like how? There's no solution. I mean, it's like, yeah, you can call up Roman Anthony, but how much better do you get dealing with his growing pains and defensive downgrade potentially versus, I mean, I know that the report came out about the Padres looking for a left fielder. People have been trying to trade or move Durant to a different position for a while.
Right.
But if you take Durant out of the lineup, I don't see how you're a better team. I don't.
You're not.
You take Rafael out of the lineup, like defense is already a weakness of this team. And that's a premier position for a defender. Take Abreu out of the lineup. He's one of your best hitters. It sucks because if Roman Anthony could play third base, which I'm not suggesting they try and put him there, but if he could play third base, it'd be an easier decision. If he could catch, it'd be an easier decision. But he's an outfielder. That's your logjam. And you've locked up Sadon. Wheeler is one of your best hitters, and Duran is kind of the engine that makes the lineup go, except for game 4 where he went 4 for 5 and you got 1 run. That's not an easy fix.
Jordan, how about let's say Campbell lights it up, you know, we you know, and he's amazing first baseman. What happens to Casas?
I fear Casas is gone anyway. I don't know. Or it gets put in Massa purgatory for 2026. Because Breslow doesn't seem to like getting nothing for a player. But it seemed like he already isn't really the biggest Tristan Casas fan, which I think is a really good assessment of his character as general manager or CBO. But I don't know. I don't like the idea of making him a first baseman though. Like it's kind of a waste of an athlete.
Right.
But he's also not a good second baseman. It's tough.
Yeah, I mean, is Casas best position, you know, with Will Middlebrooks, you know? Like, is he just going to be a broadcaster? Because, like, he's a kooky guy and it's fun and he played baseball and blah, you know what I mean? Like, I just feel bad for a guy like Casas because, like, it's like, you know, that didn't work out. Massa's just sitting there, hit the home run in spring training, but he can't lift his arm. So it's like, he'd be a really good DH. I'm just throwing that out there. Like, you know, like, I think that, you know, if it was 20 years ago and you just, you know, told these guys, you know, shut up and play, maybe you could get some stuff done. But I think now it's just kind of there's too much going on, and it's a mess, and you're going to have to hurt some serious feelings to fix this. I think at this point, because you're right. There's just this is a really bizarre 500 team, a really, really, really strange 500 team.
It's way too good to be one, yet they are one.
Yeah.
I still don't know why they haven't given Massa a first base commit. I really don't. He's no range, no arm. Seems perfect, and he can hit.
That's right.
So one thing you know he can do.
He should go to the Kyle Schwarber School of Defense. So he could pick it up in a half hour. You know, or Mike Napoli. I mean, just put some fireball on a string, and you can get him out of his hideout. He'll come out of nowhere, and you know he can teach you how to play first base. You know,
there's just so much. It's so difficult. It's when we get done wrapping this series, I'll revisit this talk about them being too good to be a 500 team. But they're too good to be a 500 team. Although Giolito was nasty in this game, and I feel like we gotta shine some light on that.
7 innings, yeah.
Like you needed somebody to give you more than 4, and he gave you 7, and struck out 6. I know he kind of got a little lucky. Ref Snyder, Jack's Mount Rushmore of human beings, saved him with a. I couldn't believe Heston Kjerstad ran to third on that, but. Ref Snyder with an outfield assist saved the day in the 7th, but that was a great outing for Lucas Giolito. His best of the year.
Yep.
And he did it at home. So it's not just a Fenway issue. So now it's just a 2 starts in a row issue. we have wilted our way down, and hopefully he can settle in at some point. But Jack, as the one guy who didn't seem like he wanted to give up on Giolito after 5 minutes, how vindicated are you from that outing, or what was your overall take on the outing in general?
I like the slider. I think that was cool because he needed a pitch that wasn't fastball changeup because you can't be a 2-pitch pitcher as a starter and succeed generally. That's not going to work. So you need at least a third pitch, and the slider was that, and it was effective. And the changeup wasn't great, but it was still good enough. He only got 2 of 27 whiffs on the changeup, so not ideal, but he made it work. He wasn't facing a great team, but it worked. Next 3 starts for him are Atlanta, the Angels, and Tampa Bay. I don't fear those lineups. Maybe he'll have one stinker in there just because he likes to, but I think at least, you can get through the next few weeks with Giolito, and if the slider's there with the fastball changeup combination, if he's like a number 3 or so pitcher production wise, when it all averages out, because I don't think he's going to throw, 7 shutout every start. I also don't think he's going to give up a million home runs every start. I think somewhere in the middle of like a, low to mid 4s ERA out of the guy, I'm completely good with that.
Yeah. Although based on recent history, a million home runs a start is a possibility for him.
It is, but also he was very sad. He was going through a divorce. So
I'm looking at his player like profile picture, and this is the look of a man who's just happy to be here. He's cheesy. He's got the pearly whites. He rebounded up as far as never mind. I won't get into that. But but he it was an encouraging sign. Brandon Bernardino found a way to sneak into this one as well because of course he did. And then Luis Guerrero, we got our wish of him coming back, and kind of wish we didn't.
God,
he was bad.
What the fuck was he doing? It was like, I'm gonna pitch right around the strike zone every single pitch I throw. He'd walk a guy on 4 pitches and throw the ball down the middle. Like it was so like bipolar, like the strike. It was like he can do it, he can't do it. He can do it, he can't do it. And the stuff is great. I love the velocity, but it's like, what is going on with that guy?
Yeah, to decide that you randomly want to throw a strike to the one guy in the lineup that could hurt you, or
Right.
there's 2, but Ryan O'Hearn was the one guy he faced that could hurt him. To be like, yeah, that's when I want to throw a strike was definitely a decision on his part. But yeah, so Sox lose 2-1. Abraham Toro with a home run that almost killed Jorge Mateo in the bottom of the 9th. But that's his 3rd bomb, and now counting today 11 games. So he's provided some power and decent play at first base as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, Sox lose game 2 of the doubleheader. A doubleheader, I feel like, is always a scheduled split. So no harm done. They're back to mid though, 27 and 27. They're 12. If you want to count 0-0, 13th time they've hit 500 this year.
And their 13th one-run loss of the season, which is insane.
Lucky number 13. Brings us to the series finale. We got Walker Buehler hopefully not getting ejected against Dean Kremer, which is a matchup that's really felt made in heaven for a Red Sox win and a series win. Buehler was okay. Nothing special. 5 innings, 2 earned. Gave up a bomb to Dylan Carlson, which is unforgivable because he's hitting like 070 this year. 3 strikeouts. Kind of labored, I think, in the 4th inning. Threw like 25 pitches. Threw like 25 in the 1st inning as well. 3 quick ones other than that. But got you through 5, which is something that's really kind of it was really eluded the rotation lately. But nice to see him give you 5. Velo was good. But the offense was non-existent. Jack, what were your thoughts on Buehler today?
It was fine, He was perfectly fine. He, gave you 5 innings, only 2 runs. Strikeouts weren't great, but they really haven't been all season. He limited damage. I'm fine with this being the version of Walker Buehler that he is at this point of his career. He's not, the Cy Young candidate anymore, but if he's going to be a stable middle of the rotation arm who has grit and wants to fight people, I'm okay with that.
Especially if it's an umpire.
Yeah, those are the best kind of people to fight.
Those are the best people to fight. Just ask Jose Offerman. Literally punch.
Is he Alejandro?
Yeah. We love punching umpires. But yeah, Brian, what were your thoughts on Bayo? Not Bayo. Sorry, I looked at his picture on my phone. Bueller today.
Yeah, 5 innings, 4 hits. I thought he did pretty well. It's just the kind of thing where it was like 5 innings is the new 7 innings for the Red Sox starting pitching. So, you got to score some runs, and they just didn't. Duran had 4 hits, but Devers didn't do anything. Abreu didn't do anything. Campbell, again, 0 for 4. He's down to 224 now. Toro and Mayer had 2 hits, which is pretty nice. Mayer had his first extra base hit, but then the rest of the lineup, Rafael 0 for 4, Sogard 0 for 2, Hamilton 0 for 2. That's why you only score 1 run. But, I think Bueller did everything he could have to do the best he could. And then first out of the bullpen is Weissert, who's on, pace to have like 75 appearances. So yeah, I don't know. It just the offense didn't show up. That was the story of this game. And I think it was a game that was more than capable. They could have scored some runs. They just didn't do it.
They had opportunities, but you can't really get 13 whiffs against Dean Kramer and hope to win. I mean, his splitter was pretty nasty. Like, I'll give him that, but this was a pretty inexcusable showing from the Red Sox offense. I get it. Like, Bregman's not in there anymore to save the day and be like a stable force behind Devers in the lineup. Mayer got his first big league hit today though, which was cool. Nice to see a little inside out swing on a 94-mile-an-hour fastball with 2 strikes on him. Plugged the gap for his first big league double in the 9th inning. Scored his first major league run on Babraham Toro's RBI single to raise his average to 289 with an 894 OPS, because of course it is. But and that was it for the Sox offense. Like, Brian basically summed it up. 4 hits from Duran, Narvaez had 2, Mayer had 2, Toro had 2. That was it for the offense. And 4 guys with multi-hit games, and you end up scoring 1 run. That's fucking crazy. Like, how often does that happen?
We had more hits than they did. We had 10 and they had 7, but it's just when you have them.
Yeah, they had 2 home runs. Sox gave them 2 runs on errors, which is always fun. Little bit of the clown show. Sox were back.
But Jordan, their leadoff hitter goes 4 for 5 and they score 1 run. That's nuts.
Yeah, he went 4 for 5. He was on base 4 times. Didn't attempt to steal, which I thought was interesting. I mean, I know that you can't steal every time Duran's on first, especially with Devers up.
Right.
But you're fighting for offense. You're down 3-0 in the 6th. I think that was, he got a hit in the 6th inning. I could be wrong. I know Devers is up, but you have Devers up with 2 outs and Duran at first base. Why don't you try and steal with Duran? You get your guy to second base. Or if he's out, you lead off the next inning with Devers as opposed to Willier, who's been kind of home run or nothing lately. It's interesting to, the kind of way this offense goes. I mean, 19 runs in game 1, 6 in game 2, and then 2 in the final 2 games combined.
They did the right thing, Jordan, with stacking the lefties. I mean, he's got lefties have almost 1,000 OPS against this guy. So it's like everything that analytically lined up, it just didn't work out.
Yeah, just unfortunate. I mean, you got a day where Devers didn't really look like himself at the plate. I know he had a hard hit out. Willier's really been kind of fighting it for a while. I know he's got a few home runs to kind of save him over the last couple of weeks, but he's not really been having a great month of May. Campbell in the 5 hole. I mean, he's been bad all month. He's hitting like 110 in May.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a conversation that's going to start getting loud soon about whether or not they're going to have to send him down. I don't think they will. I don't think they necessarily should, but that's a conversation that's going to come up at some point, especially if Grissom keeps playing well in AAA. It's going to become a conversation. You can only play mid for so long before heads got to roll at some point. But yeah, I mean, the offense did nothing. Really doesn't matter that they gave up 5 runs. They scored 1. You're not going to win games 1-0 in the majors in 2025. So, Sox split. They do the perfect 5-5 road trip. They're 27-28. And that brings us to Milwaukee. 3-gamer with the Milwaukee Brewers. Any last thoughts on this series overall before we preview the Milwaukee Brewers? Nada. Okay. So I'll give the pitching matchups for game 1, 2:10 start. Memorial Day start, we got Garrett Crochet, 4-3 with a 1.98 ERA, 78 strikeouts, which is like 45 more than second place on the team. Against, blanked on his name, Chad Patrick, 2-4 with a 3.23 ERA. Game 2, we got TBD going for the Red Sox. It's Dobbins' turn. We don't know. Actually, no, it's not. It's Bayo's turn in the rotation. No, because the way the rotation shook out in the doubleheaders, I think.
Well,
I
not
don't know.
to throw them under the bus again, like I do every other week, but Bayo is listed for Wednesday on ESPN. So
He is listed for Wednesday as well on this. I don't know who's going game 2. I think it's technically supposed to be Dobbins, but with the way the
okay.
rotation shook out, I think that's probably going to be somebody else. Against Aaron Savali, who's only made one start this season. He's got an ERA of 9. And then game 3, 110 start, Brian Bayo against Freddie Peralta. Bayo's 2-1 with a 4.08, very fake 4.08, but he's got a 4.08. And then Freddie Peralta's 5-3 with a 2.55 ERA. Jack, I will kick it to you. How do you see this series shaking up with the Brewers, who are 15-10 at home? By the way, they're 26-28 overall.
I think 2-1 to go back to 500. That's who we are. And I'm not picking against a Crochet game, so I think they win tomorrow. Savale has historically been batting practice for the Red Sox. I know we don't even know who's pitching that game, but Savale has always been a guy who it feels like they score a million runs off of. So I'm not freaked out by Savale. Bayo in a day game against Freddie Peralta after winning the first 2 with a Cora punt lineup, no chance in hell. There's no way they're winning that game if they win the first 2, because it's a Bayo day game and Freddie Peralta is one of the best pitchers on the planet. No chance. So I'll say 2-1. They win the first 2. Cora punts lineup. Bayo gives up 11, and we're on to Atlanta.
We're on to Atlanta. Brian, how do you think the series goes?
I think 2-1 would be great. I think 1-2 might be a little more realistic, only because it's just I don't know. The team's going to show me something, 19-5 was sexy, but since then it's been really, really disappointing. And I know it was a couple weeks ago we were upset because Whitlock and Slayton weren't pitching well and holding leads. Well, now everybody else has been way overworked. So, it's got to start. These starters got to go deeper into games and give these guys a break. TBD, is it Criswell pitching? I mean, how bad could it be, right?
It could be, right? Because I don't think it
Yeah.
counts as a call up for the 27th man. So actually, that could make sense. That would make more sense than Fitz, I think.
Yeah. And if he's pitching, how do I feel? I don't know.
Not great.
Yeah, exactly. This year kind of reminds me of, I don't know, forget a couple of years ago when I'd watch minor league baseball TV, the streaming, and I'd see like a double-A guy or a single-A guy strike out a bunch of guys. It's like, oh, that was fun. And then you realize like the talent level from A ball to double-A to triple-A, it's huge, 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 huge. And these guys that you get kind of like maybe somewhat attached to, where you're like, I really want this guy to do something. It'd be really nice if they could do it at the major league level. Then they get here and it's like, Brian Johnson or some of these guys where it's just like they just don't have that type of talent to compete at the major league level. And when a guy like Criswell comes up, you're like, all right, well, we'll see what happens. But it'd be really nice to have like 5 solid starters. I mean, is that just too much to ask? Guys that can give under 5 runs a game for 5 innings. I mean, come on. I'm not saying you got to have a payroll over $200 million. I'm not saying that your beers have to be $15, or any of that shit, or parking has to be $50 at the park. I'm not saying that. Just get me 5 starters and get you 5 innings. Come on.
Yeah, I will say Criswell has a 1.99 ERA in AAA this season.
Okay.
He was part of the combined no-hitter on April 22nd. He had 8 Ks and 5 innings of that start. He's got 31 strikeouts and 22 2/3 innings. That's the talent discrepancy between AAA and the major leagues.
My God, yeah.
That's nuts. Last time out he pitched on the 8th, so he hasn't pitched in almost 3 weeks. He's definitely starting game 2 of the series.
Till his arm falls off.
I would bet my life on it, honestly, at this point. Yeah, I think I'm with. I think I'm torn between 1-2 and 2-1.
Yeah.
It's tough to predict game 2 of the series, even with Savali pitching, because I don't know who's pitching for the Red Sox. And if it's even if it's Fitz versus Criswell, that is a huge gap in talent level for me. I have no idea like where I would go. I will err on the side of caution with the way they've been playing no Bregman and say 1-2 and be pleasantly surprised if it's the other way around.
Yeah.
Just protecting my feelings. I'm going to finally stop letting them control my mental health, and I'll expect them to go 1-2. But this is a team that likes to trip over their own feet a lot. Like a lot of guys on this team are individually having very good seasons, but they keep finding ways to lose, and that's a culture thing. That's supposed to be set by the guys in the dugout, not the guys in the higher ups that are building the roster. And I do wonder how many times can you lose games you should win? How many changes you can make to who's building rosters, who's in the dugout before some of the onus falls on the players and the coaching staff and the manager to just stop being mid. You're 13 games under 500 since 2022. Something's got to give. You've had 2 CBOs now. But I think 1-2 is pretty likely. And Chad Patrick, of course, is having like a really good year for Milwaukee right now. So that's fun. So we'll see. But yeah, I don't know. I'm curious. And Jack had to dip, so he won't be able to answer this question. But I do want to bring this up because I said we would revisit this after we finish the series, but then Jack said he had to leave at 5:45. I tweeted this during the game. I think it was actually right before the circus music started when Zach Kelly went into the game. Come on, come to me. I gotta refresh my Twitter account. Give me a sec. My bad. Bad preparedness on my part. People keep saying make a change when it comes to the Red Sox. They fired Heim Bloom. They made a blockbuster trade. They signed a guy to a $40 million a year contract. They called up Campbell. They called up Mayer. How many changes must they make before it goes to the dugout? And that was me. That I know that people thought, like, people had their interpretations of that tweet, thinking I was talking about players, thinking I was talking about someone like Pete Fatsy, talking about Andrew Bailey. I'm talking about Alex Cora.
Ooh. Jeez. All right.
How bad does it have to get for you, Brian, before that man's job's in jeopardy?
Well, it's gonna be on the back burner. I know he got a little more heat than probably he should have for the graduation. But you're right. I mean, what hasn't changed? We've changed just about everything else. But we haven't changed the manager. And I think that we thought I don't know, I can't speak for everybody, but how'd you feel last year? Did you think Cora was gone? Like, I'm done with this bullshit? Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think openly, I think behind the scenes, I think if you talk to people who, were at Canopy Lake and cornered, Veritek and, in the ride waiting for the flume, like, hey, what's going on? Who's coming back next year? Yeah, Cora's gone. Everybody that I know told me Cora was definitely gone. And Henry had one of these, fireside chats with a cigar or whatever he was doing, and, told Cora something that, hey, listen, things are going to be different. Well, maybe the thing to be different is Cora, and he's the thing that has to be different. No, I think that's a valid point because you're right. They've changed everything else, and I don't know what else they can do. But at the same time, he's not the one that is swinging and missing, in a pitch, 2 inches off the plate. He's not the one missing signals. He's the one yelling at Rafaela saying, "Hey, why the hell are you bunting?" Or, you missed the steal sign. But you got to hold the guys accountable. But I don't know how much Cora has over that, but Cora is in charge of everybody under him. And everything else has changed except for Cora since, they won their World Series. But you're right. How many games are they under 500 since 2000, whatever? What'd you say, 17?
13 since
So,
2022.
yeah, so he's really the only thing left to do. But they move him, they'll do something stupid like make somebody else in-house a coach, you know what I mean? A manager. So I don't even know if that would fix it, But you're right. I mean, you can only change so many things before what else in this room hasn't changed. And he's the thing that always keeps coming up.
Yeah, and I think it's becoming like the organization has just become way too content with being mediocre.
Sure.
Like they do a few things every year to be like, see, we care about winning. Like in 2022, that off season, I know there was the work stoppage, so there was a late spring training. You know, the season started like a week late
Right.
as well. They brought in Trevor Story late in 2022. And like that was kind of like I know y'all are pissed that we traded Renfro. Y'all are pissed that we haven't extended Xander, but hey, we got Trevor Story. You know, we got Chris Sale. Chris Sale's going to be healthy all year. That's a thing. Remember Nate Eovaldi was almost a Cy Young Award winner last year. We got him coming back. You know, we brought back old friend Rich Hill, Michael Waka. Come on down. Like we care about winning. Then they go 6 games under 500. Then they let Bogarts go in the offseason of 2023. They bring in Kenley, Yoshida, and Chris Martin right away.
Yep.
They had that offer on the table for Eovaldi, but then he left. They brought in Kluber. Yikes, right? So story goes, we're going to play Kike at short. We trade for Adalberto Mondesi, who is like a super fun player in Kansas City, but we made that savvy trade to replace Story. That guy never played. I don't even know if he's alive. I don't. But they made a bunch of little savvy moves that kind of looked like, yeah, we were pretty pissed about last year. They signed Turner, they signed Duvall. Like they made a bunch of moves that looked pretty good on paper, and they were 6 under 500. They fired the CBO. We're tired of mediocrity. We're going to fire the guy who's been causing it. They bring in Breslow, who's like their 19th choice, but they brought in Breslow. They signed Giolito and Cooper Criswell. They trade for Tyler O'Neill. They extend Alex Cora, though, but they also extended Bayo and Rafaela. We're locking in our core. We care about winning not just now, but in the future.
Yep.
They go 500. We go into 2025. They trade for Crochet and sign Bregman. We are fed up with mediocrity.
Yep.
We bring in Walker Buehler. Dude just won a ring. We are hell bent on changing the culture in Boston and getting back to winning consistently. I know Aroldis Chapman's not a popular name for many reasons, whether it be performance or baggage off the field, but he's come in, he's been awesome.
That's right.
But they brought in Aroldis Chapman. They made a very flashy signing at the closer position. Brought in Chapman. Again, we're fed up with losing.
Yep.
They are a 500 team again. They're actually below 500 now.
Right.
What has been the common denominator of every single Red Sox team since 2022? The manager.
That's right.
I'm not full throat in the Fire Cora camp, but let me just make a quick comparison here. Both John Farrell and Alex Cora won a World Series their first year as manager. The rest of their managerial career, this is counting today's loss. John Farrell had a .517 winning percentage with 2 division titles, 2 last place finishes / losing seasons. Alex Cora has a .456 winning percentage.
Wow.
1 postseason berth. They did not win the division. They had to get in with the extended wild card. They were the number two seed for the wild card, I believe it was. No, never mind. They were the 1 seed for the wild card. That was the year before they had 3 teams. 2 last place finishes and 3 losing seasons / 500 seasons. They have become content with mediocrity so long as Cora is the face of it. And I think that is disgusting. That is the one thing you haven't changed. Stop being scared of, like, I get that if you fire him, does it change much this year? No, maybe you bought him out and you're actually terrible, which honestly I think is better than being mid again. Being horrible is better than being 500. Do you lose Devers if you fire him? Maybe. I don't know. We'll see. I mean, he hates Breslow. I don't think he'd like the guy Breslow hires to replace Cora. But I don't know. Like, the status quo sucks.
Yeah.
Firing Cora, worst case scenario, I feel like it's just more of the status quo. So are you afraid of maintaining it as long if Cora's not there? Is it just because Cora's a likable dude? I don't know. Again, I'm not full bore in the fire Cora camp, but I'm like 2 or 3 weeks away from being like, listen, this is the common denominator. 5 of his last 6 seasons as the manager, you've been at best 6 above 500. That's not good enough.
Yeah.
I know I just went on a rant. I'll give you a chance to react to that.
I think I think Cora could be part of it, but I really think the problem they've had for a long time is looking at what happened, and I understand there was excruciating circumstances, but they look at like 2013 and 2021 where shit just kind of worked out. And oh, well, it's baseball. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. And you just illustrated how many different seasons you just mentioned where they've made moves in the preseason and they thought it would work out and it didn't. And the problem is they never have a pivot if it doesn't work out. That's the bigger thing. And then Cora's stuck with he's got Toro and Sogard. Well, yeah, they
Yeah.
suck. That's not a Cora problem. That's a personnel problem. You know, look at the farm system. It's like, okay, well, but then you get a guy like Navarro's you pluck out of nowhere. You know, sometimes you get lucky. But let's break it down. Catcher, you thought you were gonna have Wong, and you were like, we were like really fucking excited about that. Casas never did a goddamn thing, no matter how many, whatever color his fucking nails were or whatever his story was. He just wasn't producing. And then he got hurt. Second base, you're like, oh, yeah, we get the second coming of Mookie Betts. We give him a big fat contract. Now he's hitting 220. Your shortstop can't hit. Our third baseman, who was probably our best offensive player, is now out for 2 months. Our right fielder is streaky. Our center fielder is a great defensive player, but can't hit for shit right now. And our left fielder, he went 4 for 5, but nobody else can hit the ball. Okay, that's just the offense. Now you've got Chapman, who's a great closer, and Slayton and Whitlock are doing their thing, and your middle relief is okay. But then you got Crochet, who can only throw us 85 pitches because we got to baby him. Okay, that's fine. But then when the other guys, you're not babying him, you're taking it out after 75 pitches. You don't have the starting pitching, which was going to be depth for this team. And then the holes I mentioned in the offense, they don't have a plan B for their offense right now. They don't. They don't have a plan B for their starting pitching right now. And that was going to be the strength of the team. Their bullpen really is the strength of the team if you look at it. That's really held this team together from not being a complete fucking dumpster fire if you look at it,
Yeah. I mean, it's difficult because it's like there's so much that has to go right to be good. Like you can't
Yep.
really again, you mapped it out. You went position by position here. Like you look at Casas. When we look at Casas, even now after the fact, it's almost like we project what we thought his 2025 was going to look like at
Right.
the end of the season.
Yeah.
Regardless of maybe he was just going to be terrible this year. Like maybe he was just going to be bad. Like
That
plain and
happens.
simple.
Yeah.
Like some guys just suck for a year,
Yep.
even if
Yep.
even great players do.
Yep.
That's possible. But again, he was supposed to be a vital part of this team, and he's hurt. Like again, that kind of boned them. And I understand, like, you can't have depth at every single position. You have to pick high value positions. That's where your depth is. So, like, if Sadon gets hurt, you move Duran back to center and Roman comes up. Or
Yep.
you could put Campbell in center field if you have to, because he's got experience there. If Story got hurt, you had Meyer, you could play at shortstop, and you have
Yep.
Vaughn Grissom who could play second base. You have Sogard, who's kind of a utility guy in a pinch. You can play him all over the place. Middle infield, you have Hamilton. So you've got your depth. Romy can play middle infield too. I know he's hurt, but when he comes back, he can play middle infield too.
Right.
Catcher's a high value position, but you had 3 guys on the 40 man already. I know one of them's Blake Sable. That doesn't really count, but you still have Yasmani Grandal. So if for whatever reason you pull the plug on Wong, you can DFA Sable, call up Yasmani Grandal. And
What happened to Grandal? Is he hitting? Is he playing?
I don't even know.
I haven't heard about him in forever.
Yeah, let me quickly check that. I actually have zero clue. Is he struggling now? Oh, I'm looking at his. Am I not looking at Yasmani? There we go. Yasmani Grandal has a. Oh, he's really sputtered lately. He's down to an OPS of like 721, I think. Yep, 721. But there's a lot of stuff that happens. I mean, Bregman, you paid him $40 million a year. You're not preparing for the chance of him getting hurt. You're just not. Like you signed him because he doesn't. He posts. Worst case scenario, he's a somewhat regressed version of himself, but he posts and he plays 150 games and you live and die with it. And then Devers, you move to DH, so he does post. You're not going to miss him for a month of the season because he's going to play every single game at DH.
Yeah. To me though, Jordan, it's just wild they don't have a backup third baseman like in mind because Bregman, I think if he had a ridiculous year, he was going to be a one and done.
Mm-hmm.
So like it's just crazy that they got him and not like a guy at least Portland or something or whatever that was like the next guy. But I understand at the same time, you got to live in the now. You don't be like, well, in 2 years and this or 3 years, you can't think like that. You're like, all right, this division is wide open. The Yankees are the top, and every other team sucks. Baltimore is fucking done. I know they beat us, but like their ownership invested absolutely fucking nothing in that team. They did what like the Red Sox used to do in the 90s. They signed like these 40-year-old pitchers and fucking band-aids and these it's just they're done. Toronto's done. Tampa's done. The Red Sox, this is their time, and they're just leaving it on the table.
Yeah, again, they're in a very unique position. The Celtics are out of the playoffs early. The Bruins didn't even make it. The Patriots are a team coming off 2 terrible years in a row,
Yep.
and training camp doesn't start till July. So for the next 2 months, it's all Red Sox.
That's right.
You're in a unique position, and maybe that's part of the problem. It's just these guys aren't mentally capable of doing it. I mean, we saw this the last few years. They were really good, and then we expected them to be good, and they weren't good anymore.
Right.
So it's like the pressure of expectations is starting to get to them. I mean, they have a lot of young guys still. I mean, they showed it on the broadcast today, the experience level of guys going down the list. I mean, they're 4 through 6 hitters, all rookies. Narvaez, Meyer, and Campbell, all rookies. And then you have Sogard, who's got or he came in to play later, but he's basically he is a rookie also. David Hamilton's got just over a year of service time. Duran's a vet in the lineup. He's got just over 2 years of service time. Then you have Devers, but he's still 28. Like that's your unk in the lineup, and he's 28 years old.
So how do you fix this, Jordan? Do you just hope it gets better because there's no fix?
How do you fix it? I mean, like honestly, I mean I mean, you kind of do have to just hope it gets better. Like I'm trying to think of like I'm looking at the lineup, and we went through this earlier with getting Roman Anthony into the major league level. Like how do you make that work? You don't, because I mean, are you ready to pull the plug on Sadon? I mean, that's an all-world defensive center fielder. That's not a very good defensive infielder, and he's not a good enough hitter to really justify taking him out of center field. It's a tough spot to be in. Can you live with the bad offense on the chance he makes a ridiculous play? How often do ridiculous plays happen to the point where you actually get to feel the real benefit of having Sadon? Like there's plays Sadon makes that nobody else can make.
Right.
But how many plays that like happen frequently in a major league game can Sadon make that Jarren Duran can't make?
Well, I think if you look though at the analytics of this year, Duran's fallen off quite a bit defensively in the outfield. I mean, last year he was amazing. He might even been better than Rafaela because Rafaela had all those shortstop games included that really brought down his defensive value. Duran was like 27 outs above her plate. It was some stupid number. It was like off the charts.
Yeah, Duran this year. Well, Duran last year had 17 defensive runs saved in center field.
Yeah.
And 23 overall if you count left field. So, I mean, so Duran has fallen off this year to a degree, but I will also say he is
playing left field
positive.
at Fenway will do that though, because
Yeah,
you're giving up hits per se that like you didn't get to, but that's because there's a fucking wall behind you.
yeah. I mean, last year he had 17 defensive runs saved in center field.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he's regressed, but he's playing a different position every single day. I mean, he's still got 1 defensive run saved. Last year he had 6 in left, but he also had 3 outs above average in left field last year, -2 this year.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, he's regressed defensively this season so far. I mean, I felt like he kind of took off defensively last year with his offense at the same time, and that was kind of right around now.
Yeah.
So we'll see. But I do wonder, like, because Roman's a left fielder.
I think for me the easy fix, and it's not going to happen because it's way too late. If Devers played third, he's better than any replacement level guy you're going to get from the minors right now. And you have Meyer play short, and then I think that's your future. Because I mean, I don't know, maybe Bregman never comes back. Who knows? I mean, he probably does. I think he said he did the same thing. What, in 2021? Is that right? Where he missed like 2 months. Yeah. So, and then maybe he comes back and he DHs because his knees bothering him. And I mean, I wouldn't mind that bat in the lineup. You know, I mean, that'd be really funny. So Devers replaces Bregman, and then Bregman replaces Devers in the lineup. They flip. But
That would be funny.
you know that then you can keep Campbell at second base, and then I don't know what you do about first. Maybe Grissom plays first. I don't know, and then you can keep your outfield intact. There's got to be a way to figure this out. Somebody smarter than me has sat up late at night and be like, "No, this is how it works." I just don't know what that is.
Yeah, I mean, it's so fresh too. I mean, Bregman got hurt 2 days ago.
Yep.
So, and we don't even really know how long he'll be gone for. All he said was it felt similar to what happened last time.
Right.
Now, he missed 50 games last time, but I would still call it a significant injury if he misses
Oh, yeah.
30. You know, he doesn't have to miss 50 plus games for this to be a significant injury. If he misses 20, it's significant.
Yep.
It's a tough, like, I mean, we're all expecting the worst. But like he didn't blow out his Achilles. Like he didn't have a Jason Tatum moment. Like he strained his quad. That's a tough thing to come back from, but maybe it's only a month. And you know, all the Red Sox have to do is still be 500 on June 25th, which
Yeah.
I'm sure they'll find a way to do it. But like I don't know. I'm just in it's a weird position that they're in right now. It's not an obvious solution because I really think if it were obvious, it would have already happened.
Right.
People keep wanting to treat this like MLB The Show and move Duran to second base. No, let's not do that. Like the infield is already guys learning different positions across the board. I mean, again, last night, David Hamilton was playing short last night at the end of the game, which, I mean, he's still got to learn that position, even though he's a shortstop. But you had Meyer at third, Hamilton at short, Campbell at second, and Abraham Toro at first base. That is a spring training infield.
Right.
It's not an easy fix. And you're not putting Rafael in the infield. You're not putting Duran in the infield. And you're not making a significant trade on May 25th. You're not doing it. There's nothing out there to trade for. The guys you'd want, most of the teams that you'd be trading for guys from are still close enough to in the race where they're not really thinking about selling right now. Like,
Yeah,
I know Nathaniel Lowe's out there, but do you really want to
I
trade?
think Breslow is basically like, listen, like, you guys have to prove to me that you're a team worth making a move, and maybe I'll do it. But like, if you're not even gonna be an above 500 team, why bother?
Yeah. I don't know. We'll see. It's tough. And again, like I said, I'm not full bore on the fire Cora train,
Right.
but at a certain point, like this has been going on for a long time with him. 2019, I mean, he had the Cinderella year. I mean, it feels like he's constantly at odds with the front office.
Right.
Whether it be bullpen construction, bullpen usage, lineup construction. It feels like the guys that are being used are not being used to the best of their abilities. Like, why is Trevor Story still hitting in the top 5 of the lineup when he does play? If he is getting pinch hit for and he's hitting like 110 for the last month and a half.
Right.
Why, if he's playing, why is he not hitting 9th? And then you move Sadon to 7 or something. Like, get him more potential RBI spots as opposed to getting him more 2 out, nobody on situations.
Absolutely.
I mean, they finally moved Narvaez to 4, which is a good spot for him to be in right now while he's cooking and he's still hitting well. It's just it's a lot. But again, 6 over 500 in 2019. They fired the CBO, which was Dombrowski, brought in Heim. The only time it feels like that the front office and Cora have been on the same page was when Cora had his coming to Jesus moment when he was super thankful for getting another chance at MLB in 2021. And what happened that year? The Red Sox almost made the World Series. I don't know I don't know. Those two, either whether it's really this giant disconnect as it seems on the outside between front office and the dugout, they need to iron that out quickly because it's getting late fast. A third of the year's already gone. You're under 500.
Yeah, and people, like they're bringing up the conversation, but it's like, oh, let's make some changes. Core is still the constant. Can you imagine if Core won in 21? Like you would if you brought up firing him, like you'd be like run out of town. Like, oh, but he won 2 titles, and like the berth that he would have be so much wider than it is right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I don't know. I mean, how bad? Like, do you think his job is so safe that no matter how this year goes, he's still a manager in 2026?
trying to figure out what this ownership wants to do long term is so baffling. They are like the most smoke and mirrors, like trying to figure that out. Good luck to you. You know, I mean, they want to win, they want to make money, but they found out a way to make money and not win, so they're okay. But then every once in a while they get a lot of shit, and it's like it still blows my mind that they don't do like the winter weekend thing. That was awesome. I used to love doing that, going down there and meeting the people and talking to the players. And then it was like, well, when you're getting booed off the stage, they had a little bit of a little bit of like maybe we shouldn't do this, But they did spend money in the offseason. They actually made some moves. I think getting the ace. I think that was a different move than getting guys that used to be good. Getting Bregman and giving him big money. I was pretty under the impression that things would be different this year, but you're right, Jordan. They're not.
Yeah, and again, like you keep finding ways to lose. That speaks to culture, and that is set by the manager.
Yep.
That was like the big reason why Buck Showalter was allowed to keep managing into his like 90s. 'Cause that dude's so old, but he's looked the same since the 90s. It's just like it's a matter of culture. Like you brought in
Right.
Bregman and Bueller because they're winners.
Yep.
They bring winning wherever they go. They don't lose
Yep.
until they get to Boston, and suddenly they're a 500 team.
Yeah.
And it's not like those guys are bad. Bueller's been fine. I mean, he's not been spectacular, but he's been better this year than he was with the Dodgers last year. I know the Dodgers are a way better team. I'm not trying to say the Red Sox should be the best team in baseball, but Bregman's come here and he's gotten better.
Yeah.
And you're still finding ways to lose. And I just think it's a culture thing. And again, if they finish 81-81 or worse in 2025, I think you got to take a long, hard look in the mirror and be like, listen, do we think that maybe we need to change, whether it's a wholesale firing squad moment for the dugout?
Right.
It's been largely the same coaching staff for 6 years.
Yeah. No, you're right. You're right. But I still do think it comes down to a personnel issue. 4 through 7 as rookies in their lineup. How many teams are going to have that type of lineup and have success?
You're right. And this has been a problem for a while. Like last year's team was super inexperienced. 2023, a lot of inexperience in there as well. But
Yep.
I don't know. At some point, something's got to give. And I know that was the title of an episode 2, our episode 2 shows ago.
Okay.
Something's got to give. So I won't rip the same title, but like something's got to give. They need to figure something out because they seem way too content with being mediocre, and that's just not okay. That's not acceptable. And it needs to stop being treated like it is. And people that are, and maybe again, the reason why I'm so like passionate about the Cora conversation is I feel like the people that are perceived as untouchable, when they finally get nudged, it like lights a fire under people.
Oh,
Like
absolutely.
again, I think in the case of Devers, like there's a very real chance that if you fire Cora, you lose him for good. Like he hates Breslow already. He loves Cora. That's definitely a real problem if you lose Rafi. But like I've seen it in the past, like Claude Julien with the Bruins. They fired him. Bruce Cassidy comes in. They went nuts and they made the playoffs, and then they were in the Cup final a couple of years later. Now there's not always a Bruce Cassidy waiting. Like Ramon Vasquez may not be Bruce Cassidy. Maybe he's maybe he's Ron Renicky, and like next year you're finding a new manager. Not every interim is a great coach. Like not everyone's Joe Mazzulla. But I just sometimes think that somebody like Cora gets fired, hypothetically speaking. Guys in that dugout are like, whoa, this is our fault. Like they made an example out of him. This dude was untouchable. We had to extend him last year. We absolutely had to. We could not lose him.
Yeah.
We just got him fired. That's on us. And I mean, it could sink or swim the team, and maybe they continue to tread, and they're a 500 team anyway.
Maybe.
Again,
I
it's just
think
somebody untouchable's got to go.
younger players maybe might feel that way, but in my very, very, very limited time around professional athletes, they don't give a shit. They really don't. They do not. They're a franchise unto themselves. They're a conglomerate. They're a brand. It has a finite shelf life, and they need to maximize it for everything it's worth. And If that coach can make him look great, cool. But if he can't, oh well. They always fire the coach. They don't fire the players.
Yeah,
Typically,
and
you know
that's
what I
a
mean?
problem too. And I just don't. I think Story's become so bad that it doesn't even count anymore if he's the example. They
Oh yeah,
DFA Story, they're going to be like, yeah, well, yeah, he was fucking terrible. Like,
yeah,
I don't know what else would have to happen.
yeah. I don't know. I mean, I've spoken ad nauseam about what I think they should do move wise, but they gotta do something, and because what they're doing right now is not working. And I think the problem is, and I think you feel the same way. We look at what they have; they're capable of so much more, and it's just so disappointing.
And this is the first time really where you look at the roster and you're like, it's really inexcusable. I think.
Yep.
I mean, I guess it is excusable because Bregman and Casas are hurt, but like they were
Well,
500 team with both of them too.
yeah. I mean, Casas was not lighting it up, and they had the same record. Bregman was
Yeah.
on fire, and they had the same record. Let's
hmm
see how they are a month from now.
Yeah.
Do they go on a tailspin, or maybe do they rally behind it and does Campbell hit like he did the first month of the season? You know,
hmm Yeah.
um, is Duran gonna do second? Last year Duran stuff like he's 4 for 5 today. I mean, that's pretty encouraging for a
Yeah.
guy who was having a really rough time. Devers is on fire right now, but you need consistency from a Campbell and a Abreu, any of these other guys. Just do something. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And maybe Marcelo's the spark they need as well. We'll
I
see.
hope so. I mean, I don't want to just bring Anthony up thinking he's going to be the savior, and then when he hits 170 for the first month, people are like, "Oh, like." I hate to tell you, but there's very few guys who are going to come from the minors to the majors and just rip it. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah. And even guys that do, like Campbell, look at where he is now.
Yeah, it's a league of adjustments. I mean, when you're a major league baseball player, at every hotel you get to that first day, there's a book of every pitcher you're going to face on that team.
Yep.
In AAA, it's like, oh, this guy's got a good curveball. Oh yeah, he's got a really good fastball. It's different. Double A is where your talent is. Triple A is a holding pattern. The major leagues is the major leagues.
Yep. You are correct. Oh geez, we're coming up on 2 hours here. Any any last thoughts before
Well,
we wrap this up?
I think I
Nope.
pretty
Yeah.
much said as much as humanly possible.
Yeah, I feel the same here. So yeah, that'll do it for this edition of the Pesky Report, episode 474, presented by Beyond the Monster for Jack and Brian. I'm Jordan. Until next time, peace out and go Sox.